Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fight night. As Pete said, we've got Catrin from Fidelity and James from Freshfields. So I'll just let them introduce themselves and just introduce their dishes. So Catrin, you first, ladies first. What are your dishes today?
Yeah, so I am going to do a beef fillet, beef tartare out of beef fillet, and from that we will mix together with some mayo, some creme fraiche, some, I did say capers, but I've changed that to gherkins today, and then we're going to do some pickled shallots, some pickled raw mushrooms going on top of there, a mushroom puree, so it's a nice little starter. Then we're going to do a classic Swedish dish called beef ribeye, basically beef ribeye, and that comes from a hotel from back in the early 1900s called Ribeye Hotel, and we often do that from the end bit of the beef fillet. So say you buy a whole beef fillet, you have that little tail bit that you don't really want to be using. So that's what we're going to be using today for this dish. It's a kind of like household dish back home. Because there was a confusion that I was South African, so therefore we're saying I'm Swedish. I'm doing it with a Swedish dish. And then we got a cotteberg. Then we're going to do whole roast cauliflower with some mayonnaise sauce, some asparagus, and some more mushrooms. Delicious.
Sounds marvellous. And James, over to you.
I've gone a bit more simpler this time because I thought to myself, barbecue season's coming up, and why not get everyone in the mood for a big celebration when everyone can get back in the garden together. So I'm doing a whole grilled tomahawk steak with a lovely wild garlic and parmesan crust. I'm doing some lovely herby Hasselback potatoes. Oh, we're going to do a lovely wild garlic hollandaise sauce to go with that. We've got some pickled wild garlic flowers to go with that. A nice bit of gremolata. So hopefully a winner.
Okay, well then, guys, I'm going to set the timer off. Good luck. Your 45 minutes starts now. So you said you're going to be using a tomahawk steak. So explain to us what cut of meat that's from.
So basically, it's just a really expensive ribeye steak, because what you're doing is you're going to be ending up spending most of your money on the bone, but it looks really good. But I'm a little bit annoyed with my butcher. I went down to London Borough Market today. So I got my one from, what's it called? Northfield Farms. Absolutely delicious, rare beef supplier, but he cut me bone off. So I'm not best in pleased with him, but it's going to be a lovely big bit of meat.
So, so what, you got a tomahawk steak?
Yeah, so you're a tomahawk with just
basically. So it looks like just a normal coat de barge sort of
So
look.
you've got a ribeye steak, but you're calling it a tomahawk?
Yeah, man. It's got a little bone. You can't judge a man by the size of his bone. That's what I've learned.
I think Little Bone is going to be your nickname from now on, James.
Oh, thank you very much, Chef.
And so, Catrin, you've obviously said you're going to be doing a beef tartare. What cut of beef are you going to be using for that?
So I'm using a beef fillet today, and the tails, because that's often a bit that you don't really use when you normally, like, say you get a nice piece of beef fillet in, you always have that little tiny end bit, like this one. Like, no one wants that as a portion. So therefore, that's a great way to use this up. And as you can see on this one, I have blowtorched the outside of the beef. Perspective. And then cut that away before we dice up the inside to a tartare. And then I'm going to put that into a bowl that I'm keeping on ice, just to keep it like really nice and cold.
Yeah, and it's important the actual cut on that, isn't it? It doesn't want to be too fine, doesn't want to be too large.
No, you want to have it quite. I prefer mine quite small when I have a beef tartare. I also know like people that you can also flavor it if you, for example, blowtorch it, and then hold a piece of coal in front, and then let the flame go through the coal, and then you can get like a smoky flavour to beef tartare.
Oh, very nice.
Do you like yours spicy, Catrin?
Sorry?
You like yours spicy?
Not too spicy. I'm not that fan of spiciness. I'm probably more like the acidity in it, like creaminess.
Lovely.
So, James, what are you up to now?
So I'm just sealing off my meat in the pan. I've just blanched some spinach and wild garlic and I'm just refreshing that in some ice water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into a pot with some olive oil, and I'm going to blitz it up and make the oil that's going to give all that lovely flavour to our hollandaise sauce. And then all the mulch that's left at the end, I use that to make then the Parmesan herb crumb. So there's no wastage.
Gotcha.
Trying to do a big thing on zero wastage at the minute. So
sure. And what's the best way to cook that beef? Have you got aged beef? Do you leave it out at room temperature before you cook it? What's your personal take on it?
So for me personally, I mean, I love a bit of age on it, but not too much. I think anything past 35 days for me is a bit too strong. That to me, it starts going into a different. To me, it tastes like old flavour to the meat. To me, I like it. 28 days is lovely. 35 days is nice. But let's show you me little seal on me steak.
Very nice cuisson, yeah.
Cuisson, chef.
Zoom in. Lovely.
There you go. But yeah, I don't like it too aged. So 28 days to 35 days is probably enough for me. I've left this out for the last hour or so just so it can get to room temperature.
Yeah.
Just so when it comes to cooking, it's not a big shock to the meat when the heat's trying to get in there.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it'll just straight away tense up, won't it? So it's like,
yes, that's it.
Gotcha. No worries. And Catrin, what are you up to there? You're still dicing the meat for the tartare?
Finished icing my beef tartare, and as you can see, I got it in a bowl there, and I got ice underneath.
Yeah.
And Catrin, do you know that that's Mr. Mitchell's favourite dish? He always eats that whenever he goes to a restaurant.
But I didn't know, like, for example, it's also my sister-in-law's favourite dish. Like, if she can pick a dish for when we go out eating, that's the one to go to.
So don't worry, Catrin. You've got one vote there, so don't worry. You're going to have Mr. Mitchell, so that's good.
He's got it anyway.
Now I'm going to dice up the rest of the beef fillet for the beef ribeye, and then you go quite large chunks. So this dish is basically a fancy version of something that I think most countries have, like a leftover dish. Like here you got bubble and sweet, we got nasi goreng, and in Sweden you got pytti panna, which is like whatever leftovers you have, often potatoes and some meat and some onion, putting in a big like fryer kind of thing. And then someone went and decided, let's do that one, but make it fancy, and we can make more money from it. So then
so you're using all the beef really. So that's the idea behind it.
And then you're dicing it a bit bigger, and this is going to fry in the end.
Fantastic.
Diced potatoes to go with it, some caramelized onions, and this is where we're going with the wild garlic mayo as well. And it's often served with a raw egg yolk on the side, like mix around, make it creamy.
Nice. I read somewhere it's like a beef hash. Is that right? The best way to describe it, like a beef hash with potatoes and.
Yeah, flavor-wise, yeah. But then you keep everything separate. So when you get it served, you have the beef on one side of the plate, you have your potatoes on one side, and then you have your onion on one side, and then you mix it all around together with the raw egg yolk, and that way it becomes your little dish.
Nice. Very nice. And I see you're both using wild garlic. Is that because that's sort of still in season at the moment? It's easy to get hold of still?
Yeah, they had a big abundance of it down in Borough Market at the minute. So I'm not too sure how they've been affected with the lockdown and everything. But no, they've got it's lovely at the minute. I see every chef out there on Instagram's foraging for it that I know back at home, which is lovely to see.
What would you use when the wild garlic runs out? Because you've got another couple of weeks on that, haven't you? What would you change it to then?
For me, sorry.
Anyone. An answer would be good.
I mean, spinach is always a winner. That's always a bit of green on your plate.
Well, there is this herb, but if anyone who's going out for their long walks at the minute, there's something called garlic mustard, but we used to call it Jack by the hedge, and it looks kind of like it's quite tall. You'll see it at the top, with the top buds into white, and the leaves almost look like stinging nettle leaves. But where it buds up, and when you rip it, you can smell garlic. It's like a milder version of wild garlic, and it lasts a lot longer than wild garlic. So you probably got 3 or 4 weeks out of that as well. But it's the same thing. Anything you'd use garlic for, use that. But even just put that through your spinach and steam that through at the end, or just chop it through sauces, or just saute it off at the end with your steaks or your pork chops or whatever it is. It's absolutely amazing. Just Google it. Google garlic mustard or Jack by the hedge, and you'll see the image of it, and you'll recognize it instantly because it grows everywhere this time of year.
Oh, lovely.
Fantastic. And just on the subject of seasonality and stuff there, I noticed you're using Jersey Royals there, James, yeah? Is that,
yes.
And Hasselback potatoes. Could you just explain to everyone what a Hasselback is?
Yeah, definitely. So basically you get your potato, trim off the bottom so you've got a nice flat base, and then you're slicing really thin slices all along. And then what that does is when it cooks, it opens up like a nice hedgehog effect, and you can get all that lovely flavour. So you normally, I chuck a load of butter on top of mine with some lovely aromats and herbs and loads of garlic. So all that flavour goes right into the potato. So it's a little bit of a nicer roast potato.
That's a posh roast potato, basically.
Posh roast potato, indeed.
Fantastic. And Catrin, you're just preparing your potatoes there, are you? For your...
Yeah, so all I'm doing is dicing it up.
Yep.
Nice little dices, basically the same size as we're doing for the beef. So everything sort of stays looking the same on the plate.
Nice, nice, very nice. Cote de boeuf. So, what sort of cuts that from for your cote de boeuf?
So cote de boeuf is the like one rib on the ribeye. So like if you take away the bone, then you just got a ribeye steak. But here they've chosen to keep the bone on and then calling it a cote de boeuf. Or if you go for French, it's an entrecôte. So pardon my French, I don't speak French very well.
Gotcha. So the ribeye is nice and fatty. You've got all that marbling in there, so you've got all that the flavour, really, haven't you, from that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. And I see you're both making. Well, James, you're making a hollandaise as well, I believe.
Yes.
So do you want to just talk us through the principles of a basic hollandaise for people at home? How we can go about making that?
Of course. So I'll show you now. I'm actually making it as we speak. So
look at that. What perfect time.
I know. It's like we pre-done this.
Unbelievable.
So, basically, what you're going to be doing is you're whipping egg yolks over a bain-marie. So you don't get too much heat, or otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to cook your eggs too quick, and it's going to end up being scrambled eggs. So you get egg yolks in a bowl, add a nice bit of vinegar, and then what you're going to do is you're going to whisk this to make a sabayon. That'll be a nice light whisked egg, and you'll see over time this will start coming together, and it will start making a more formed, airy. I don't know what sabayon, yeah.
it just gets bigger in volume, basically, doesn't it? It fluffs.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fantastic.
and then what you do is then you have to add clarified butter to it, and then that ends up starting to naturally thicken. And then I add my flavourings in at the end, which today is going to be the wild garlic, bit of herbs, bit of love.
Nice. And clarified butter, for everyone that doesn't know, is just like butter that's been, there's no impurities in it, correct?
Yeah, there's no buttermilk at the bottom. So we removed that. So today, funny enough, I should have probably said that at the start, but I've separated my butter. So I've got my clarified butter, and then the butter solids I've ended up pouring over my Hasselback potatoes just to use up, plus add a little bit of flavour to them.
Perfect.
What would happen, just technically, not to challenge anything, but what happens if you don't clarify your butter?
If you don't, sorry, I missed that, Pete.
If you don't clarify your butter, because realistically, like whoever, I wouldn't imagine that Val's going to sit at home and clarify her butter before making the hollandaise, you know? So what would happen if you just melted butter and put it through it?
I mean, to be fair, the way I've every now and then had to rush it, I've always added a little bit, but I've always been taught, and I've never really done the homework into it, but it splits.
Really?
That's what I've heard through the grapevine from many a French chef. Maybe they just
I never clarify my butter, and it still works.
Really? You know what, I was going to let you into a secret. I've never clarified butter for a bloody hollandaise ever. All you have to do, when you melt it, just emulsify it a little bit and tip it in. Because you think, what's the hollandaise that you fold cream through? There's a version that has dairy, so dairy wouldn't split it. I think it's just more of it's one of those old school kind of things that.
What is it? It's probably from my training with a lot of old school French chefs in large restaurants back through London.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You're very old, James, but I'm young and new, so my techniques.
Whoa, you're telling me I look like the old guy with the tattoos and the crossed arms? That's terrible.
No.
I thought I'm that young, trendy-looking chef. You've already put me out to pasture.
I didn't say you were old. I just said you had a standard chef. Every chef, like take a photo of a chef. You know, just this. They just cross their arms. Every single bloody one of them, trying to look buff. And you just did that.
Okay.
Right, guys, just to let you know, you've got 32 minutes left. Just to give you a little time to there. No worries. And what are you doing there, Catrin? You're prepping up the asparagus. So for people at home, do you want to just quickly show them how to prep it up?
So basically what I'm doing is it's called a French trim. So I'm peeling off all these little bits along here. sometimes they don't look so nice. Like I do like eating my asparagus with them, but it can look a bit fancier. And then in the end, we're going to do a little tiny cut down at the bottom, and then just peel it off here. It's an old school way of prepping asparagus, but it can look quite pretty on a plate. And then this is what you have in the end. A nice little peeled bit like that, and you got the delicate top.
Very nice. A very posh asparagus there. Very well done. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Everything's so posh tonight. I can't believe it. It's amazing.
It's because we heard you were coming, Scott. We thought, right, that's it. We'll make the effort.
You know, Scott posh to Scotty, so I'm doing it.
you know, James.
If you go to Waitrose to buy Bisto, in his eyes, it's posh.
So you're just finishing off your hollandaise there. So you've whipped that up, yeah?
Yep. So I'm just going to get it all sorted out. So as you can see, I've got a nice stiff sabayon. You don't want to keep going too much, otherwise you're going to end up with scrambled egg. And then what you're going to do is ever so slowly drop a bit of butter into it. So you whisk it until it's all incorporated. And if you ever get to a stage where you realise that it's gone too thick or it's starting to split, then just a little secret tip would be to add a little splash of warm water into it, and then that will bring it back.
Mm. Do you know what that tip? Just not to be a complete geek, but years ago I got this book by there's a French scientist called Hervé Tess. You ever get one of his books? It's spelled, his last name is spelled this, but it's pronounced Tess. And he breaks down each section into things like eggs and oils and all this, and then gives you like examples of recipes of how this food science thing works. Anyway, that's boring. But he did this experiment. He makes like mayonnaise with egg whites and then egg yolks and then whole eggs, and it's about the whole emulsification process. And by doing that, by using your egg yolks, and then you add your oil or your butter like you would do like a mayonnaise or a hollandaise. If it starts to split because you've added too much, add a little bit more water to it and it brings it back, and you can continuously add water and fat in a ratio. And I think you can get about 8 liters of sauce out of a single egg yolk in the end, because it's just that constant emulsification. Very interesting, boring subject for anyone who's a dork like me. If you want to read about egg yolk emulsification percentages, just let me know. Hit me up. I'll send you some stuff.
Well, to be fair, I always end up putting a bit of water into my hollandaise. So I like to bulk mine out a little bit, makes it extra fluffy.
Or is that just because you split it every time you make it?
No. I can't stand it when I see people using thermo mixes or anything other than by hand. I think it's cheating.
Excuse me, James.
I think it's never as fluffy, it's never as good, and it never tastes the same.
My Delia never fails me. Yeah, look up Delia Smith, never fails me. 4 egg yolks, 1 pack of butter, in it goes, bosh.
What, do you microwave that one, do you, Scott?
That's nasty, James. No, you heat the butter up until it starts bubbling. It's red hot and it cooks the egg yolks as you pour it in. But that's my little secret tip here there.
Oh, perfect.
But don't try it at home unless you're highly skilled. Right. Catrin, what are you up to over there? I can see you're busy frying bits and pieces off. Is that for your, I don't know if I'm saying this right, correct me if I'm not, Biff Rydberg?
Can you hear them? What are you doing?
So right now I'm starting to fry the potatoes for the biscuit bag, because like you want to fry it raw, like so therefore you want to make sure the start quite early. You want a nice color on them. You want nice, like quite soft. And then I'm also starting to slowly caramelize my onions as well, because you don't want to do that too quick, because then you're going to get a burnt onion. So better onion is to a slow caramelization.
Very nice.
And I'll leave them on there for a bit while I make the wild garlic mayo.
Jesus Christ.
Do you want to show us what you're doing with that? How you're going to put that together?
So here I've got my 2 egg yolks, and I've got some lemon juice. I didn't want to overpower too much vinegar today, just like stabilization, a bit of paper and butter. Just going to get that whisking up, and then the wild garlic oil, only sticks, one like bright and green. And I wanted to make sure that it cooled down in time to make it mayo. Then we slowly gonna whisk in this. So like it's the same principle as if you're making a hollandaise or béarnaise, to slowly emulsify the oil into your egg.
Very nice. That's a nice green colour you got there as well. That looks super fresh. Fantastic. Looking good. And James, what are you up to over there? I see you've got down there, you've got that you're going to be serving like a gremolata as well to cut through the richness, I presume.
Yes, this is it.
And what are you going to put through that? And what is really a gremolata? If you could just explain to us, how would you go about making that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, naturally, like it's normally meant to be garlic in a gremolata, but because we've got so much garlic going on through this menu with the crust and the hollandaise, I've taken it out. So to me, it's more of a, you could call it like a salsa verde, to be honest with you. It's I've got a lot of fresh herbs. I've got some lovely capers are going through there, some nice lemon zest, nice little splash of Chardonnay vinegar. Yeah, basically just to cut through. So we're going to have a lovely rich hollandaise sauce, which I mean is going to be delicious, but it's a rich steak, rich potatoes, going to have Parmesan cheese everywhere. So you think to yourself, instead of having a rich sauce, a lovely bit of gremolata, like a nice salsa-y thing, is exactly what you need on a nice hot summer day.
Yeah, just to cut through.
I don't think anything better with that and a beer on the side would be perfect right now.
It doesn't sound too bad, mate. Doesn't sound down to
even
25
better with
minutes.
a massive bone coming out of it. But yeah, you can.
It definitely would a little bit better than that. I feel like it's already been done over.
It's boneless. Down to 25 minutes now, guys. So you've got 25 minutes left on the old timer. Okay.
Beautiful.
No worries. All coming together. All looking good. All looking good. So, Catrin, you've got your second dish on the go there. What's next? You're just finishing cooking those off.
I keep working on the mayo, but I need to obviously get the other stuff cooking. So I'm going to get the cooking from now, colour that one, get it in the oven for a couple of minutes, and then leave it to rest. So it's well rested before we start.
Yeah. And for you, what's the best way to eat the beef for yourself, your own personal preference? How would you cook it? So sort of like a medium rare. So yeah, the actual
I personally like it medium rare, like somewhere in between there.
Yeah, sure.
That's my personal preference as well, but I wouldn't cook it over medium at all.
Yeah. And is it important to rest the meat? Would you leave it to rest?
Yeah, so leave it to rest at least for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's well, even warm, like it's all cooked the way you want it to cook. Because obviously the meat will continue to cook after you take it out of the oven. And then you will have a hard time, like keep cooking for too long.
It allows it all to relax, to sit there and relax
exactly.
and keep it nice and juicy. And James, for you, how do you like your beef cooked? What are you sort of aiming for in your cook?
So for me, it all depends on the cut of meat. So if we were looking at doing a nice fillet steak, to me, I could go down to having that as a blue or a rare. To me, that's lovely because it's got the lovely tenderness to that meat. For a tomahawk or anything such as a ribeye, to me, it's got to be medium rare to a little bit over, just because you need to melt that fat down. Otherwise, you just get left with that gelatinous glob in the middle. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll still eat it, but to me, I like it a little bit more cooked, just so you can like start breaking down the sinew and the muscle that's in between.
Yeah, and for you again, resting important, just to allow it to relax.
Very important. I mean, I put my steak in, and it's been in for about 5-10 minutes. It's come out, and it's now resting on the side.
Gotcha. And so
I always think that the longer you rest anything, the better it is. Like just let it go. Because you can always, if you over rest it, it loses temperature. You can always just flash fire or bang it under a grill just to kind of recharge it. But
exactly. You can always chuck it back in the oven, can't you? You can never take back though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can never reattach a bone to a tomahawk. You can never.
No, I sat there with blue tack today. I thought, sorry, I'm going to do it. I think they might notice.
And so, Catrin, you're just getting a nice seal on that, rendering down a bit of the fat.
As you can see on this side, there's a big fat and some sinew. So I'm starting to go with that down in the pan to make sure that it's cooked first, and because that takes a lot longer time than meat.
So I think that's a good little tip there. Something like that, you really want to get a nice sear on it, a nice get that fat reduced. Yeah, nice. Nice.
You got something to hold on to easily.
I know James is boneless, unfortunately. So
I know.
Can't do that.
I've been demasculated.
So James, what are you up to now? What are you doing
So
there?
I'm just in the middle of seasoning my gremolata. I've got my head chef over there sitting there impatiently looking at this bit of meat on the side that I'm going to go over to taste. Jersey, can you come and try this for me, please? No, he said. All right, fair enough. And that's about it really. So in the background, I'm now going to make my Parmesan panko breadcrumb crust. I've sort of made a base of it, but I'm just going to double check that if I'm happy with it. So I want it to have a nice green. So I've had, I don't know if you can see that. So in there went panko breadcrumbs, whole grain mustard, Parmesan, butter, a bit of olive oil. And then I had all that lovely mulch left over from when I made the green oil with the wild garlic. So I thought instead of wasting it, I'm going to put that in there so you get a nice green and all the flavour and all that lovely stuff's used up. And then that's going to be sitting there. I'm cooling this down in the fridge just to harden up ever so slightly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that over the bit of meat, flash that back through the oven just to get that nice bit of colour and melt it down. And then that's going to be the finishing touches to my steak.
Gotcha. And do you have to set that on the steak with anything, rub it with a bit of mustard, or do you just put that straight on? It should just sit straight on it.
I mean, yeah, normally I like to have a little bit of Dijon mustard, but I haven't got any of that, I'm afraid. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be fine. The juiciness of this steak's going to hold it all together. I mean, by the time this melts down, that's going to stick to it like.
And that crust. I mean, I used to do a similar crust for lamb shoulders and the best end of lamb and stuff. But even on salmon and different places and stuff, that kind of pressed herb crust is great to finish anything, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks really good as well. It adds a bit of texture
just really quick,
doesn't it?
James. While I'm thinking about it, I'll come to Catrin as well in a minute. But I mean, you're obviously using a fake tomahawk, ribeye steak, whatever you want to call it. Catrin's using the fillet, because obviously they're in a classy part of town over there. But what would you say for? Like, what's your favorite cut, or what other cuts could you use that isn't the ridiculous? I mean, you've both chosen the most expensive cut of beef that you can get.
Oh, of course. I'm not going to hold back, are we?
No, well, yeah. It shows our upbringings are completely different, James. But I think, what would be your choices if you didn't use coats and fillets and stuff like that? Like, what's underused in your mind?
I mean, you can never get away from a bavette. Bavette steak's always great. That's like the cheap fillet, isn't it? That always goes lovely in a sandwich as well. If you're going to grill a bit of bavette and then put that between a bit of crusty bread and give it to me, I would yam it down.
Very good. Kat?
Like ox cheese is amazing. Also like oxtail, like breaking that.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Oh yeah, oxtail, yeah, nice.
Stuff things up, and that's really nice. Like, kind of like pasta with some braised oxtail or something like that. It's also very tasty.
What about you, Lainey? What do you like to cook? Do you remember cooking? What do you like to cook when you used to
I like to do ravioli katsu. Like that I actually lost on. Thank you everyone for voting for me there. Thank you. No, I like the slow cooked beef as well. I think maybe a brisket or something like that. We get a load of flavour in there. You know, you can utilise it in so many different ways. It's just delicious. And you know, if you're brining it up as well, obviously.
I had a competition not too long ago where I had to make a broth out of beef tongue, and I had all the tongue, and I broke it down and I made like a little nest and like little crisps out of it. It was really tasty.
I love a beef tongue. Ox tongue, beef tongue, any kind of tongue is amazing. I think it's brilliant.
Very underused bit of meat nowadays, isn't it?
You brine it and you braise it properly and you give it the time that it needs. You know, quick stuff's expensive, long stuff's cheap, you know?
Yeah. But you normally end up getting more flavour in the long stuff.
I think
what are you up to there, Catrin? I can see you whisking something madly there. What are you up to?
Yeah. So, well, obviously, a hollandaise and béarnaise sauce is exactly the same thing, just béarnaise has been flavoured with tarragon. And another way of doing it is in the water bath. I'm doing on the stove.
Oh, very brave, very brave.
The thing is, I've always done it on the stove straight away. I've never really done it on the water bath. And I thought, since we showed the hollandaise with on the water bath, I'll go straight to the stove because that's the way I know I've got control over my béarnaise sauce.
Perfect. It's looking good. It's looking good.
And I also put like a tiny bit of water into it as I do it, and that will help your sabayon. And then you just keep taking it off, putting it back on, doing it stable.
I've got you. Yeah. So it's all in the look and the feel of it, really, for yourself. You know where it's at. Yeah. Fantastic. James, what are you up to there? I can see you prodding something madly.
Well, this is it. As much as I put grilled on the menu, I realise we're not allowed to use our grill at the minute due to the air conditioning. So I'm just
Gotcha.
pan frying to give some lovely colour on some spring onions, just because they're banging season at the minute. So I just wanted to use everything that was as fresh as possible. And I've just chucked in a knob of butter, and I've just sprinkled a bit of Chardonnay vinegar in there again and just sort of glazed them up. I'm just going to finish them off in the oven, and I think that's just going to add that lovely oniony taste to the dish.
Very nice. 16 minutes left, guys. So 16 minutes left on the clock. And talking about seasonality and stuff there, obviously these guys are using it a lot on their menus. For everybody at home there, there's a website, Eat the Seasons. You can click on there and it'll bring up each month, and you can go on there and see what's banging in season at the moment. So that's a little one for all the chefs and non-chefs out there. So Eat the Seasons website, yeah? So fantastic.
I'll tell you what, Scott, if anyone gets a spare chance, just make sure you get down to London Borough Market. Because, I mean, we went down there, me and the boss, and I'll tell you what, you forget about half the ingredients that you want to put on your menu. So it's brilliant if you're in the middle of writing a new menu or just fancy treating yourself to something.
That's a good shout, mate, actually, because a lot of the guys, you know, come into London and stuff. And as you say, it's all opening back up and that now.
Don't forget about the regions. We got to say about the regions. It's not all about London, yeah. For us non-London based people, I think if you go to any kind of market or anything at the minute, this is the best time of year, isn't it? Like there is so much produce around.
This is what I mean. You've got the purple potatoes are coming in. You've got the asparagus. You've got wild, got everything. All your morels are still sitting there. I'm sure they're French, but you've got them girolles sitting there looking pretty as well.
What you got against the French there?
Nothing at all. Just said they looked a bit too big for the English ones, to be honest.
Got a problem with the French.
We talk about it later, James.
As long as that expenses go through, Flo, we're fine.
Perhaps Anthony could tell us about where to get some produce from a market in the regions then.
Go on, Anthony. Hit me with your regional knowledge. Angus lives in the region.
He's just going to say Waitrose, isn't he?
There's a farmer's market at Ascot. You could go there.
So that's looking good, Catrin. What did you just put in there? Was that some tarragon, did you say, yeah? Oh, she's run off to chop some more. There we go.
So, Scott, as you can see, this is the Hasselback look. So
these are the posh potatoes, yeah, James?
Posh potatoes. So I've got all that lovely buttermilk. I've got some lovely herbs. All the rest of the good stuff's in there. So they're starting to open up, which is good.
And as you say, opening it up, that's going to really fill it with loads of flavour, yeah?
Yes, so it is indeed.
We did it the other week with we did a Hasselback. I say we, Phil did it. I just claim credit for all Phil's work. But he did this Hasselback butternut squash. So anything like any vegetable is hard to cut. If you slice it, it obviously cooks a lot quicker, but you glaze it off with some sage and some garlic and some pumpkin seeds. You finish it with some parmesan. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Mm. Yeah, I think the first time I see them was when I came into London as a young nipper, and we had curried Hasselback with a cod dish, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So it's like proper. They were soaked in this liquor overnight, and then when we roasted them off, the flavour out of this world.
Wow.
Delightful.
Never heard of a curried Hasselback.
Never heard of it. I'm going to cook you one, chef. That'll be on fine dining next season.
I'd be happy, James. I'd be happy if you cook me anything, mate, because I haven't tasted anything you've done in God knows how long.
Oh no, you don't come and visit anymore. That's the problem. Too busy now, are you?
Well, I thought you'd come into Hogan Levels to cook this, but you just stayed in your home field advantage. But never mind.
I was in my bubble, my little support bubble, you see.
I mean, to be fair, if you turned up with a tomahawk steak without a goddamn bone in it, and I was there in person, I think I'd have something to say about it.
I know. I think that was the main reason. I thought, oh Christ, I can't get away with this.
So, Catrin, what are you up to there? You're just putting together the beef Rydberg, is it?
The beef Rydberg, yes. So I want to take this onion just took off. Then we got the wild garlic mayo there, nice and green, very colourful. Like so.
Yeah, lovely colour, very nice, very nice.
Then the potatoes is just out of the oven. I'm going to get the beef in for the beef Rydberg soup. I've also got the brioche on for the steak tartare.
Sure.
I've done homemade brioche, but obviously when you have shorter time, you can just buy brioche from the shop and toast to go with it. And it's nice
No worries. Well, guys, you're down to 11.5 minutes to go.
Ooh.
So just to let you know, 11.5 minutes, but both looking good, looking really good. So you're just putting that into the old piping bag just to garnish up at the end, yeah? Fantastic. James, what are you up to?
So
I'm
going to put my crumb onto my beef. So as you can see, this is a lovely, rested, beautiful, short bone tomahawk steak.
It's called a chop. It's called a beef chop. Is what
Yeah,
you created there, right?
a little beef choppage that we're going to stick on there. And now I'm just going to put the crumb on top, just so I can flash this in the oven in a few minutes. And that's been resting for about, I'd say about 20 minutes. Because I let it out of the fridge so early, the temperature was already kind of there in the middle. So it just takes that little blast, and it's been resting and holding.
So what temp were you looking for, James, in the middle?
So to me, if I was cooking that for medium rare, what I'd do is I'd take that out at 40, 41, and then allow that to rest just under somewhere slightly warm, not too hot. And then realistically, if you're looking for like a medium rare-ish bit of beef, I'd say about 50 degrees. 52 if you really want to push it.
Yeah, 52, yeah. Sounds good.
So yeah, it's all about the resting. I mean, I take it out so early, and all that lovely heat then travels all the way into the middle of the steak. So this is the thing, if you rush it and you're sitting there base with butter because you're late to the pass, by the time it goes out to the plate, it's still cooking. So I think that's why a lot of these places, they cook these minute steaks too long, and then they always end up with some well done chewy bit of meat on the table.
Yeah, it doesn't give it time to relax, does it?
No.
Well, I read a thing. There's a book that came out a few years ago, and this guy basically made the argument to always cook your steaks fresh from the fridge, so you generate more of a crust on the outside before overcooking the middle. Which, I mean, it goes to show if anyone's gullible enough to believe that is absolute horse crap. Because by the time you get the crust, you're slowly graying the inside, so the cuisson's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. If it's at a good room temperature or it's close to room temperature, you blast the outside with hot heat, it balances out. That heat will carry through and you'll get 50 between the whole degree of it. Or you could be one of those lazy chefs and stick it in a vat pack bag and put it in 50.
I was going to say, yeah, or just do what 99% of the world's doing at the minute and just put it in a steamer.
You never get the flavor though, unless you char the living crap out of it. You get the accuracy, don't get me wrong, but you never get the same flavor. Plus, it's not real cooking, is it? You know,
no, exactly. I'm pretty sure I asked for a Josper oven the first day I met you, Pete. I'm still waiting.
Well, Pete, I'm not being funny, but you can't even use your grill on site at the minute, and you want to go to that Josper oven.
So, Catrin, you're just finishing off your little dishes over there. Yep. Yep, she's running around.
Let's go.
So, 8 minutes left, guys. 8
Perfect.
minutes left.
So we've got the liquid bake. You don't want to overcook then.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Oh, Scott, it's so annoying that you're not here, mate, to have a little nibble.
Do you know what? I want a little nibble, to be honest. They both are a place of everything.
So as you can see, there's got a lovely crust now. Melted down on this bit of steak.
So that's just a couple of minutes on there, and it's just melted over the top, yeah? So
that's it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
If we had a Josper, I would have put it in there and let it really smoke and all that lovely flavour, but...
You need to do, James. You need to speak to your boss, and he's sat there right now staring at you, waiting for the cars to leave. So speak to him, or Tad. If anyone's ever met Tad, Tad's very open to conversations about you spending money. So just.
I think Tad's passed out now.
Yeah, I mean, he's texting me, telling me to shut up.
Looking good, guys. Looking good.
Very good. But just let me know when you're carving, James, so I can zoom in. I want to see some.
Carving now, chef.
Carving now.
I'm going for it. I'm going to take my no bone off.
Take your no bone, James. No bone.
And Catrin, you're just finishing off your tartar sauce there. Your tartar sauce.
Yes. So I've got some Grenache shallots, and to take away the sharpness from them, I have blanched them quickly. Just pour some hot water onto them. Then we got
Chef.
And it's
Hang on.
Oh, I
Hang on.
can't even.
Do that one.
very nice. And it's important to make that last
nice.
minute, Catrin, yeah, so it doesn't sort of sit out and over sort of cook in its own juices and stuff, yeah. So last minute is best to make that, yeah.
Yeah. Then we go some mayo in there, some little bit of sour cream just for some more acidity, some salt and pepper. Mix it around. I'm still keeping it on the ice. To keep
Yep.
it all nice and cold.
Fantastic.
We've got the
Just
brioche
over
ready.
5.5 minutes, 6 minutes to go, guys. 6 minutes to go.
Then this is ready to be plated, so I'm going to go and do that one now.
No worries, looking good. And James, you're plating up there, yeah, as well.
Plating up now.
Fantastic. So this is the exciting bit, isn't it? You've done all the hard work and now it's putting it all together.
Getting to eat it.
This is the bit it went wrong for you, lady, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where I was robbed is the word. Robbed is the word.
So yeah, Scott, I've been pickling some wild garlic flowers for the last few
nice.
weeks
Nice.
to use them up. So I thought, why not bring them out today, just for you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just a normal pickle, those?
So yeah, I put a star anise, peppercorns, cloves, nice bit of vinegar, sugar, reduce that down. I like mine to be a bit syrupy, and
Yeah.
then leave them in there for as long as you can, really.
That's it. Zoom right in there, in and out. Zoom it in and out. Beautiful. 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 That's the money shot, I think, that one. As we say, us professional cameramen. See, I think that's the old egg yolk going on top of the tartare, is it? No, it's going on top of it. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, we're not doing it on tartar today. We're doing it on top of the flip berry. If you want to mix it together.
Ah, okay. That's something different. That's unusual, yeah.
Right, Scott, where do you want me?
Well, I
Give
think...
it some zoom in angles, James. Give it some zoom in, mate. Just dismount your one
Okay.
of the cameras and show me the bliss.
Da-na-na. So obviously we're going for, if we're having a barbecue, obviously you want this as your new staple. Thank you very much.
Well done. You put it next to the hand wash sink, James. Well done.
Yeah, we
What a
should.
perfect area to play.
And then look, then we've got some lovely medium rare Hasselback potatoes, gremolata and a little jug on the side just to posh it up a little bit.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Pickled little flowers, watercress, grilled. Lovely. And then, yeah, chef, so in the middle, nice and pink. Just for you.
Oh, gorgeous.
Very nice. Very,
Yeah.
very nice.
That's nice. That's
Even without a bone, it looks good, mate. Yeah, very nice.
I
Don't
know, I
get me
feel
wrong.
so let down.
The bone would make it look a lot better. You know what I mean?
It would.
It's like
The whole point was for a massive show, and now I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I've been done over.
it's like having a face without a beard, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's okay, but with a beard, everything looks better. So.
And Catrin, what are you up to there? Just finishing off asparagus in the pan?
Yeah, so asparagus and girolles.
Very
So
nice.
They were not tiny ones, they were humongous ones, so they were really funny. Then we got some whole roast cauliflower that I sadly made fall apart. But I've spiced it up with some smoked paprika, some garlic powder, some coriander seeds, and then
Nice.
just rubbed it all into a butter, and then I popped it all over the cauliflower. Because it's nice to have as a side dish, but also if it doesn't fall apart, when you have a bigger one and you roast it for a while in the oven, it gets a nice color. That also works as if you were to have no steak, basically.
Nice. So the asparagus going on now. Lovely.
So you've got fillet steak, asparagus, girolles.
Yeah.
You basically got a central London budget, right? just for everyone out, other chefs like poor old Laney, you give her like a chicken.
Oh mate, I'd have to use mince.
I'd
have to use something with mince. It's that's my budget. But they looking good.
It's different out in Lewisham, Scott, isn't it? Different out there.
Right?
It's different out in the Sham.
It's the Sham, chef. It's the Sham. Looking good.
It is good. Right, so that's James done.
Yeah, we're just
nearly there.
Up.
So I just got my steak coming now and we're ready.
So, look at that.
Right.
Is there a time limit, Scott? Are we,
It's just
Actually, James, the timer is just going off as we speak, so she's made it in perfect time, and you can hear it there. There you go. There you go. Beautiful.
I'm partially amazed that you know how to work the timer on your phone, Scotty. To be fair,
I've had to do some research into that, chef, like my camera work. To be fair, but I've managed to pull it off.
well done, mate.
Well done, guys. I think you'll all agree they look exceptional, and I think that's been a great effort.
Go on,
Catrin, quick run through of your dishes, please.
Sorry?
Quick run through of your dishes. Point them out and tell us.
So here we got the
What
beef
they are.
tartare with homemade brioche. We got some pickled girolles. We got some pickled shallots on there as well. Then the next one, we have our beef friedberg. So you got your steak, potatoes, onions, wild garlic mayo, and then your raw egg yolk. And then we're finishing off with custard beef, some asparagus, some girolles, béarnaise sauce, and whole roast cauliflower to have as a side. Or if you would prefer to be vegetarian or something, then that's where you go instead of the beef, because I've flavored it up to match the beef flavors.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Very good. Very, very good. And James, over to you. If you want to just tell us quickly about your dish.
so as you can see, we've got our perfectly cooked small bone tomahawk steak. We've got our Hasselback potatoes with the remoulade just to pour over the top. Grilled spring onions, watercress, pickled wild garlic tops, and that beautiful wild garlic hollandaise sauce in the bottom. And that's obviously if you're having a big barbecue, but that's going to be my dinner.
lovely.
Very, very nice.
Right.
Well done, guys. Very, very good.